every time. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dane Bramage Rocks channel. All right, this is it. I am wrapping up my Christmas series. I'm kind of happy and sad at the same time. I'm happy Christmas is here, but I enjoyed really delivering my favorite Christmas songs to you, and I hope you enjoyed following along as I presented some of my favorite Christmas songs, some of my favorite Christmas covers, some of my favorite Christmas rock songs, and I sprinkled in a few fresh ones in there that just got released for my favorites singers on YouTube there. So I'm gonna wrap it up with my absolute favorite Christmas story, and that is the World War I 1914 Christmas truce. It is a true story, and who better to bring a true war story to life than Sabaton? I don't know if you've seen this video or heard the song before. It's absolutely epic, but the story is even better. You have two troop lines that are dug into these trenches at the widest part, no more than 200 meters apart, so they're fairly close together on the Western Front, holding down their lines, and in the middle, no man's land, right? So you got German troops versus British troops, and you got French troops that are sprinkled in there as allies, fighting against each other there. And the war started in July of 1914, a war that these soldiers were told would be over by the fall. Well, here we are approaching Christmas, and you have a bunch of volunteers in these trenches, because really, like, the trained frontline people were already deceased, wounded, or, prisoners. So now you have a bunch of volunteers that were dragged out there with barely any training, sitting in these trenches that are severely degraded, cold, wet. The troops were getting sick. There was rats running around. They had lice. They had meager rations. Morale was super, super low. Then they started receiving these care packages on Christmas Eve. Both sides, full of candy and treats and tobacco, letters from home, pictures, cigarettes, things like that. Started boosting morale, but then they started getting depressed because they were getting homesick, and Christmas was the day after that. And these, in fact, I'm going to kind of sum it up here. These lines are so close together, you can hear each other talking from other sides. And then the Germans started singing Christmas songs, and then the British started singing some of them back, and then you can actually hear them talking back and forth. And there's even stories of troops tossing treats over to the other side as a way to show their Christmas spirit. And then the most amazing thing happened. On midnight on Christmas Eve, everything went dead silent. And you just hear the troops singing and talking and sharing stories to each other and tossing treats back and forth. And then when the sun rose, for the first time in months, you heard the birds chirping because there was no bombs going off or no guns being fired. And then the troops emerged in a truce and met in the middle and celebrated Christmas together. One of the most epic Christmas stories ever. There's a lot more that goes into it, but that is the nitty-gritty of it there. So who better to visually depict this story than Sabaton? I agree. Plus, the song is absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to jump in to Sabaton's rendition and music video of Christmas Truce. Here we go. So I don't know if I mentioned this yet, and I have a lot of favorite Sabaton songs, but especially this time of year, there's none that beats it. But this song is phenomenal. They nailed this one, and this is like 2 years ago now. So Sabaton, Christmas Truce. Here we go. So, all right, you see, Western Front 1914. The war just started. We're only a few months into it. Christmas is approaching there. One of the best stories ever told. That's Tommy J representing a French troop.
Come on, man. Wake up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hannes! Come on!
Oh, Joachim. This... Oh. Already. You're right. I wasn't ready for that ad either. Every time.
Silence. Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence. Then all the cannons went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land.
So what he's referring to is exactly, and I think I said it in the intro, exactly at midnight on Christmas Eve, on Christmas morning, dead silent. No cannons, no guns. It was super quiet. The snow was falling. It was dark out, obviously in real life, but we have lights here in the video. Then you see it right here, voices sang to me from no man's land. This is showing that you can hear singing from each other's trenches Christmas songs. They were singing them in English too. The German, well, they were singing German Christmas songs and some of them in English. And, you know, the troops in here could hear the singing as it was completely quiet. It was super, super eerie. And then the sun came up. And as I said, the birds started chirping. And then the story carries on.
And the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land.
And no man's land was the center.
We are all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. A moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns laid to rest on old snowflakes. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on the front, far from home.
And as that morning came up, someone had to take that first step. So they were talking about a truce overnight, just so you guys know. And it was kind of agreed upon. You know, they say, hey, you come out. And then this side said, no, you come out. And they said, let's just both come out and meet in the center and go from there. So this is where the story carries on.
Madness, how I remember the sadness. We were hiding our tears in a foreign land where we faced our fears. We were soldiers, carried the war on our shoulders for our nations. What are you doing? Is that why we bury our friends? We were all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns laid to rest on old snowflakes. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on the front, far from home.
Oh, Tommy J. So someone actually did have a soccer ball there. That was a true story. And both the troops on both ends were actually kicking it around back and forth to each other. And then I think they actually set up a sanctioned game, like a no kidding game. They used stretchers as goalposts. They stretched it across. So mind you, that the spot where that soccer game happened, the length between both the trenches were only 2 soccer fields long, or football fields, depending where you're from, long. So they were able to use stretchers to set up goals, and they actually had a match between the Germans and the Brits. And I think the score was 3-2, and I want to say the Brits won, but I could be wrong on that. I have to go back and check the history again on that. But all that happened, there was musical instrument there. Someone actually did have a guitar, passing treats, and then it's just this. The story's amazing. It's insane this even happened. And the always thing in the back of my mind is like, how do you trust that to happen? Well, there's a good story behind how they trust each other for this to happen. But we'll get to that in the wrap up.
We drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. On Christmas on the front line we walk among our friends. We don't think about tomorrow. The battle will commence when we celebrate to Christmas. We thought about our friends, those who never made it home when the battle had commenced.
So good. God. All right, so there it is. Excuse me, y'all. So the German shoulders were Hannes, Joachim, and Pater, and then the British shoulder was Chris, and then the French shoulder was Tommy playing the French shoulder there. Soldier there. Super, super epic. I'm going to let the credits roll through. But I'm going to turn them down. So I alluded to earlier, how do you trust somebody that is your enemy fighting on the lines? Like I said, they received their packages. The guys were homesick. You know, they didn't want to fight on Christmas. They all had these Christian-based beliefs. Most of them did anyway. And in the trenches, you can hear them talking back and forth. So they were kind of having conversations while they're in the trenches leading up to Christmas Day. And you hear them saying the lyrics. You heard them sing Christmas carols on either side, and that morning they all came out. Well, they had kind of guidelines established before that even all started, right? The guidelines were, do not fire unless fired upon with the intent to kill, and if that happens, then the truce is over. Because everyone's out there, machine gun kind of mowed down the entire line. So they had a bunch of rules set out, and then as the day went on, the soccer game broke out, and it ended just like that. The officers came out and said, all right, this is enough. The cannons started going off in the background, and they got back to the trenches, shook hands, and started fighting again, and it commenced. Now, what's cool about this is leading up to the actual Christmas truce, the troops have come to kind of know each other. So they had temporary ceasefires throughout, throughout the fall and beginning into the winter, because in no man's land, when people were going out there or running back to get some supplies and stuff, they're getting hit. So they had temporary ceasefires because there were just bodies spread out all across the land there in the middle of no man's land. and they wanted to retrieve their bodies. So soldiers, during the ceasefire, soldiers would come out and start gathering the bodies there, and then, redoing some of their barbed wire fences. And that's when they started getting to know each other. So troops actually in crossing would shake hands, introduce each other, share a cigarette. And so they started learning each other's names. So even on Christmas Eve night, you would hear them shouting each other's names as they met them, and then started singing the Christmas carols and the whole nine. So it was super cool. They've already had established relationships. And also there's some stories and letters that came out where if like a German troop was on their side, one of the British troops or the French troops would pick it up and carry it back over to the other side for them. So they were actually helping deliver their own bodies back, because the longer those bodies sit out there and decay, it's just not a good situation. So they got to know each other before this even happened. So that's kind of how these conversations started. Now, there's no doubt in my mind, if these trenches were way further apart where you couldn't even hear people talking, this would have never happened. So I think they were building relationships because they were so close together, and you can hear the conversations within each other's trenches. Even if you weren't talking to the guys on the other side, you can hear the people across the way talking to each other, and understanding what they were saying. So super, super fascinating story. And you're probably asking yourself, like, hey, Dane, how do you know so much about the Christmas truce? I'm going to tell you during the wrap up. All right, everybody, welcome back. I hope you enjoy that. That was Sabaton and their music video for Christmas Truce. My absolute favorite Christmas story of all time. Sung and performed by one of my favorite bands of all time. And who better to cover that story than Sabaton? I forgot to mention it during the video. Joachim's voice in that is absolutely phenomenal. His delivery was great. I know Tommy's got a phenomenal voice, but Joachim's voice for this band is just on point. And the piano, singing the Carol of the Bells song there, dun da 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 dun da da da, absolutely phenomenal. They put that together so well. I don't, arguably that might be one of the better songs and videos they've ever come out with, but I'm a fan of a lot of their stuff. So I knew a lot about this, coming into this. I know about the whole story of the Christmas truce. I have a lot of history backing on it. I've seen a lot of videos, read a lot of papers, read a lot of letters from soldiers back then that were put together, both from the History Channel, but also from the Sabaton History Channel. If you didn't know about this, you got to go check this out. Sabaton has a separate YouTube channel called Sabaton History, which they literally bring historical backgrounds to all Sabaton songs, plus a bunch of extras. And if you scroll down here about 3 or 4 lines, there it is, right where my mouse is, where that red bar is. There is a 21-minute, 35-second video about the Christmas truce, and that is it. And really, they only talk about it for about a good 8 to 10 minutes. The rest of it is just kind of interview there. But he goes through the entire story of the 1914 Christmas truce, and that's how I learned a lot about it. And the History Channel has got some good stuff on it as well there. But absolutely phenomenal. If you didn't know about Sabaton History, head over to Sabaton History. I'll actually leave a link to that YouTube channel for you in this video, so you can go check it out yourself. But if there's anything that Sabaton sings that you want to check out the background for, it is in this YouTube channel that they hold. So go check out Sabaton History. And of course, Sabaton has their own YouTube channel where they do all their songs. So they're just absolutely phenomenal. One of my favorites there. So everybody, very, very Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoyed that. But that was it. That was my last reaction for Christmas. That was my last Christmas reaction to my favorite song from one of my favorite bands, to one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time. Christmas Truce, song performed and video by Sabaton. I hope you all enjoyed that. So, hey, if this is your first time to the channel, number 1, welcome. Number 2, go ahead and dig around the channel. I have a few Sabaton reactions. I have a few band member, Tommy J, who's a lead guitarist of Sabaton. I've had a few reactions from him because he has his own channel as well. And if you like what you see, I need you to do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button. Everybody watching, please hit that like button. Ring that little bell for notifications so you'll know when new reactions come out from me there. All right, time for those comments. What do y'all think of Sabaton? What do y'all think about that music video? What do y'all think about that song? What do y'all think about the actual true story of Christmas truce? I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Leave those comments for me below. I check them all out and respond to as many of you as I possibly can, as I always appreciate the support and the subscribers for this channel. Thinking of support, speaking of support, there goes that Dane Bramage again. All these icons you see up here, there's links for down here in the video description in the About Me section of my page. There, so you can follow me in any of those social media icons you see up front, or a few of those other support icons you can go and click on to support the channel directly. I appreciate it to anyone that's new here and to all my subscribers. I've had a phenomenal Christmas month. I appreciate all your support. I hope you enjoyed this so far. As we're signing off our very, very Merry Christmas reaction series, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you all have a very merry and blessed Christmas. And of course, until next time, keep on rocking.